Okay, what we're going to do today is we're going to do a sample driving test from my house to work. Right now I'm backing up. Of course, you got to look that way and see, ooh, there was a car there. So yeah, that's why you got to look behind you. You stop and look that way. Then you stop and you look that way, so there's no one coming. So I look back that way and turn. So I'm gonna put my phone up here so I don't have to hold it. All right, it's all over. All right, there we go. There may not be a lot to talk about, but I will talk about whatever I see on the road. I don't know why that's blurry. I'm gonna wipe it off a little bit. There, that might be better. Alright. Slightly out of focus, probably because it's seeing the windshield and it's dark outside. And of course, we're coming up to a stop sign here. The rule about stop signs is you always stop in front of the stop sign. If you stop past the stop sign, that means that you have ran the stop sign. It's just like whenever you stop at a red light, you don't go out past the red light to stop. So I'm going to look that way. There are no cars, which you probably can't see because, well, there is a car coming. I'm glad I stopped. And you got to look this way. Look both ways always when you make a turn, and double check yourself. Since I'm going to cross traffic, I'm going to look at this way first, and there's another car coming. And of course, you got to put your signal on. All right, that way looks clear. That way's not clear. Okay, that way is clear. That way is clear. So I'm going to proceed my turn. All right. Coming up to where I need to turn, and you know where this place is. You've been here a lot of times. Okay, there's Walmart over there. I got a green light, but that doesn't mean I don't need to look. So I'm going to look down that way, see if there's any cars coming, because they may run a red light and run right into us. So let's go this way. I'm going to put my phone up here now so I don't have to hold it. Main thing you got to be careful for in our areas here and there is on these roads, you have the possibility of deer running out in front of you. So you got to constantly be looking out for stuff on the side of the road. And if you've ever run into a deer before, you know exactly how that is. Let's just hope we don't run into one. Another thing you got to look for is dead animals in the road, like raccoons or things like that. Especially if they have buzzards eating on them. What happens is the buzzards will stay there right till you get there, and they'll fly up, and they can fly up right into your car. So you got to be careful of that. So I got a guy passing me because he wants to go faster than me, which I'm doing 60, which is the speed limit, because I have my cruise control set on that. See, as you can tell. And also you look in the mirror. Well, you won't be able to see that. Kind of look in the mirror all the time. You look at your side view mirrors all the time. And you look ahead. So I think I'm just going to hold it because it's easier for me to, maybe you can hear me better. So, but like I say, you constantly look here. You got a road right there. You look at that. And constantly keep an eye out. Know your road conditions. If they're slippery, you want to not travel as fast. If it's raining, you want to have your headlights on and your windshield wipers, of course. See, this is perfect deer crossing weather right here. It's cold outside and they like it. I'm coming up to an intersection. I'm going to look at both sides to see if there are parked cars there. Cars there ready to turn, and which there's not, so we don't have to stop. So we'll just do that. In this first video, I'm going to show probably the whole video of me going to work, which takes around 25 minutes. In my next and preceding videos, I'll probably, during times where there's nothing going on, just pause it until I come up to an area where I maybe need to discuss something. But for now, we're going to talk about driving. Always have your seatbelt on, of course. And never be afraid to drive, which I know you're not, because you're a very good driver already, actually. My suggestion would be that we continue with our online tests, where I'll see about later tonight and we'll go over another test. Those are the best things, because primarily you're going to have to be able to pass the written test before anything. And it's nothing to be afraid of. Really, it isn't. So, nothing really going on right now, mainly because like in my area, in your area, especially around town and out of town, there's not too much going on. But in your town, though, there is a little bit more town traffic, because you have a larger city than I do. So, the cruise control can really help you out a lot, but if you remember, when you're using the gas pedal without cruise control, you can let off the gas anytime you see something ahead of you that might, you might think, see, there's some birds right there, but you can't see them because there was something right there on the road that was dead. They were eating on it. It's like a possum. So, but the birds flew off in a different direction. I have had a buzzard fly up in front of me and I hit it. But I was doing around, I saw them, I come up to them, and I was slowed way down, and one of them flew away the opposite direction of the rest of them, and I run over the buzzard and went blump, 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 blump like that. And then I said, oh well, I said, now your buddies are going to be eating on you, which was kind of funny. Right here on this stretch of road, about 4 years ago, I hit a deer because I saw some buzzards way up front eating on something. And so I said, I'm going to start slowing down about where that car is way up there that you can't see. Then I looked down to get my coffee and looked up, and there was a deer right in front of me. And I hit him and knocked him into a ditch over here. And it tore up Kevin's car. So, you got to be careful about looking down or playing with stuff like cell phones and adjusting the radio or things like that. Any distraction, all it takes is one split second for you to have a problem. You like this car coming up in front of us, he has only one headlight working. Now at nighttime, you might think that's a motorcycle. The other thing is, if it was the other headlight that was out instead of the driver's headlight and they were coming at you, you don't know where they're at, especially if it's dark, because for one, the darkness kind of hides the car, especially when you got a bright light in your eyes, so you're kind of blinded a little bit. So you got to be careful that that car is not partially in your lane. That's one thing you always got to be looking at. Another thing to be looking at is once we get on the highway up here, I don't know if it'll come about, but whenever the you're driving on a 2-lane street and you're in the left-hand lane or the right-hand lane of any street, and you've got a car that's next to you or up in front of you, and they're acting suspicious, always watch their front wheels. And if the wheel, that way if they're starting to turn, you'll see the wheel turn, and then you can hit your brakes. You might ask your mom about that one, since it's kind of hard to demonstrate it. But you can predict when someone is going to turn, because they could be playing with their cell phone, they could be playing with whatever in the car, or looking around, talking to somebody. And they may drift into your lane at the last second. So whenever and if possible, never stay next to someone when you're going the same direction on a road. Like if you're on a 2-lane street or even on a highway. Like once you're in, let's say, St. Joe, when you've got 3 lanes across, don't stay right next to a person in the lane next to you. Either speed up a little bit, unless you're already going the speed limit, then slow down and let that person get up on ahead of you. Never travel side by side, because that only invites trouble. Because you never know what's going to happen. What if they had a flat tire or a blowout? They would lose control of their car, and they could run right into you, and then you could run into somebody else. It would be a combination of problems, and that's no good. You want to be safe. And so right now we've gone about maybe 8 miles from the house, and we're about maybe close to, well, halfway between my house and work is about 13 miles. And that's once we get up to Mansfield up here. So, also look for stuff like that. You might see highway patrol sitting on the side of the road, so you always have to be careful not to be speeding. And also, when you come up to if there's a police car or highway patrol pulled somebody over on the side of the road right there, always slow down or move over if you can. If you're on I'll show you in a minute once I get on the highway up here that has 2 lanes. It's possible we might even see one. But you always want to move over or slow down when possible. You can always slow down, but you may not always be able to move over. Because there's been plenty of times when police cars have gotten hit while have somebody pulled over. So, see, I'm doing 60, the speed limit, and I've got people coming up on top of me that are doing faster than the speed limit. See in my mirror? See over there? That's not good. There's nothing you can really do about it. Sometimes if you don't want them on your tail, all you got to do is slow down a couple of miles per hour. Like either, if you're not using cruise control, just let off the gas. Or just punch the speed down a little bit on your cruise control. Maybe drop it down 2 to 3 miles per hour, and I guarantee you it will drive them crazy. You may have to slow down even more for them to eventually pass you, because having someone following you very close is dangerous. Because suppose I'm sitting here and they're following me real close, and something runs out in front of me, like a deer or a raccoon or a dog or a cat, you're going to have to hit your brakes pretty hard. And that means that if they're so close to you, they don't have time to react, and they're going to slam into you, and it could end up very bad for everyone. So, we got to watch out by people tailgating you. That can be very, in fact, it is very, very dangerous. All right, I'm coming up to a thing, and as you can see, there is a yellow sign with a stop sign in it with a flashing light. That sign means stop ahead. It's a yellow sign, which is a warning sign. All yellow signs are warning signs. and it can have whatever inside the yellow, whatever the situation is. Like in this instance, it's stopping, and sometimes you may see a squiggly line, which means curved roads ahead. All right, so I'm looking this way, I'm looking that way, I'm looking this way again, because this lane over here is the first lane that would hit me when I start crossing the lane, because that's the closest lane to me. All right, after stopping, I'm now turning on my signal to turn left. I'm slowing down. I'm looking over here to see if there's any lanes coming, cars turning, and I'm going to go ahead and make my turn. The guy behind me just went on down the road. We say, "We hope you have a good day, guy, and be careful." All right, I'm coming into a highway, so I'm going to look this way. I'm going to look at my mirror to see if there's oncoming traffic, and they're back there, but they're not in my lane. So I'm merging into the highway. If this was a little bit not so dark outside, you'd be able to see the road a little better. Go ahead and re-engage my cruise control. And I have her set for 65 right now, which is the speed limit. I've got a car here. He's doing faster than 65, which is breaking the law. Anytime someone is speeding around you is dangerous. Right now, that truck up in front of me, which you really can't see, which I may try to zoom it. That truck in front of me is around, I'd say, 10 car spaces in front of me. I like to keep about that much. Right here, we're coming up, there's a ramp, a highway ramp coming down. You want to look back there to see whether or not there is any cars coming down merging you, because they will run into you sometimes because they're not watching you. You always have to watch out for the other person. You cannot rely on someone else to do thinking. You're going to have to pretend like they don't know what they're doing, and you're going to have to try to anticipate what they can probably do. So always stay a safe distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. Even if you have to slow down a little bit and be under the speed limit, it's better than tailgating someone, because once you get up to so close to a truck, a big truck like that, if you cannot see their mirrors on that truck in front of me, let me see if I can zoom it in. If you cannot see that truck's mirrors, they cannot see you. So that means you're too close. Right now, I've got a guy that's tailgating me. He's coming up on me, and right up here, there's a car sitting on the side of the highway. You got to be watching out, because they may pull out all of a sudden because they may not be paying attention. And so you would have to be aware of that. And see, I've got this guy tailgating me right now. You see, he's real close to me, and I'm doing 65. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow down 2 miles per hour by my cruise control, and maybe it'll make him mad, and he'll go. Maybe he'll make him want to go around me. Maybe we don't want him to be mad. But see, now I'm doing 63, and he's getting closer to me, and so we'll see what happens. In fact, he's very close to me. If I was to hit my brakes right now, he would hit me, because there'd be no way that he could possibly slow down in time. So all of a sudden, he's decided to go around me, which is good. The reason behind that is he could be on a cell phone talking and not paying attention. But you see, he's now going past me. And so now you're going to have to watch out for him wanting to move into my lane. See, now we're following at an unsafe distance, because he pulled in front of me, so effectively he cut me off. And see, I'm doing 63 still. We're going up a hill a little bit. So I'm going to watch what he does and see if he doesn't speed up a little bit. And see, I can follow this close as long as I look ahead and see whether or not there's any dangers where it cause him to have to hit his brakes. So as you can see, he's speeding up somewhat and kind of giving me better distance. And once he gets up there a little bit further, I'll increase my speed. Every now and then, look in your mirror. Always do that at least once every few minutes or more. I think the book says at least once a minute, look in your mirror. But if you know the traffic conditions around you and you know that there's not much traffic, there's no real need to look. But it's always a good habit to always check your rear view mirror, your side mirrors on both sides to make sure. And whenever you're switching lanes, like if I wanted to switch to this lane over here next to me, you look in your mirror, you turn your signal on, and then you look behind you, which it'd be kind of hard to do. Look behind you, and then move over, and then turn your signal off. But always don't rely just on your mirrors. Although, you know, it's not hard to do once you've been an experienced driver. So what I want to do is, since in this state, it's not legal to drive in the left-hand lane because they're usually used for passing only, I'm going to move back over. So, signal, look in the mirror, look that direction, and look at that mirror, and then move over and turn the signal off and you're back. Always check all mirrors and turn around and look whenever you change lanes. Check my mirror again. There's not too many cars back there. And so, right now I'm coming up to an overpass. What's on the other side of the overpass is a merging entry ramp. You want to make sure if there's no cars coming down that entry ramp, and if there is, you may have to move over to the left-hand lane. But always watch. As soon as you can look, you look at the ramp and see if there's any cars coming in. There's not, so I'm okay where I'm at. So, and like I say, always be aware of what you're seeing on the road. If you got your music turned up too loud, sometimes that can be bad. That's okay, maybe if the streets are pretty well empty of traffic, but the problem with super loud music, if you're not paying attention to your mirrors or something, an ambulance could be coming up behind you, or a police car could be behind you with sirens going on and you don't hear it, or someone, anyway, loud music can distract you. And I will say that I am one who does listen to loud music occasionally, but not all the time. So I've got another car coming up behind me. He's got his wrong signal on. He had his right-hand signal on to move over to the left lane, which is silly. And he's not paying attention to what he's doing. But see, I'm doing the speed limit, and now see how slow he's coming up to me? I'm going to have to watch very carefully what he's going to do. Because, anyway, he's breaking the law. And as you can see. So, and I'm doing 65. So see how fast he moves over to my lane. Again, if he does. Really, what it happens, if they move over too soon, it doesn't give you enough space to have a safe traveling distance. And there he goes. He's moving over, no signal. And now he's still too close to me. The rule of thumb is 1 car length for every 10 miles per hour. But I usually like to give it a little bit more, because reaction time at high speeds, let me just put it to you this way. When you're doing 60 miles per hour, you're moving at 88 feet per second. So in 2 seconds, you travel over 170 feet. In 3 seconds, that's around 260 feet in just 3 seconds. So 260 feet is a long way, you might say. But at fast speeds, you have to be able to react very quickly and be aware of what you are doing, because you can get into trouble awfully fast. Today, you know, this freeway here, this highway here is generally pretty much not much traffic on it. So a lot of people like to go over the speed limit. So they'll come up on top of you, just like these cars are again, and I got a big truck right behind that car, and he's pushing that car. So they're gonna come around to me pretty soon. But here's a kind of like a situation of which is kind of unique for me. Up ahead of me about a mile, I've got to turn left. And that means that I need to start moving over. And if I don't move over now, by the time I get to my turn, they're already going to be moving to go around me, just like that truck did there. He's over here in the other lane. So that means that I've got a pile of traffic behind me, so I've got to start coming up with decisions on how to move over to the left-hand lane so that I can avoid them from crowding me whenever I come on, because I'm going to have to come to a stop on the highway. So what I'm going to do is, this car behind me, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my signal so that his intention, well, stupidly, they did their signal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cruise control off so that this car can pass me, because I need to move. And you see the way this truck is? So now I'm going to move over. I looked over here in my mirrors and see what they did. If they would have just allowed me to move over when I signaled before they had moved over, they wouldn't have had to go around me, and everything would have been a little bit more or less confusing. That's how accidents happen, when people do not pay attention. You see, I had my signal on before this red car up here, the lady in that car. I had my signal on, and then she turned her signal on and went around me before I could move over, so that she could go around me and back into the same lane that she was in. If she would have let me over, she would not have even had to move over. And that's what's bad. In fact, a lot of lane changing, like if you're going down the road and you got people changing lanes all the time, that's illegal. And see this car here, he's doing a little bit less than the speed limit, so you got to watch for people like that too. I'm coming up to my lane. You want to turn your signal on at least several hundred feet before you make your turn. You look in your mirror to see if there's someone on top of you, because you don't want to start turning, because the person, if there's someone behind you, they may not see you signaling, and they may run into you, so you have to adjust for things like that. Okay, I've got a yield sign, which means I don't even have to stop when I cross this highway. But I'm going to look that way. I'm going to look that way. Not that that means that anyone's going to be coming on the wrong way, but you never know. There are people who travel down the wrong side. Got a stop sign there. Turn my signal on. I'm going to look on this road here, because that lane right there is the first one that would come in contact with me. So I'm going to go over here and turn. Not that this is anything different, but since I'm on a back road, there's not as much traffic. So you don't have to really, not that it means anything, because it doesn't. That sign right there says 35 miles per hour, maximum speed, because we have a curvy road up in front of us, a winding road to the left. See, when it's a one-time thing, it's like that. So that means it's winding to the left, of which you can see up there. So I'm going to turn and go up the road, and we'll do that. See this hill right here? You got to be careful that there's not someone coming on the opposite side that's in the middle of that lane, in the middle of the road, and that you would hit them. Always be aware of one-lane roads like this, where you got a lane on your side and a lane on their side. See that top of that hill again? Always go to the extreme right side. That way, if there's someone coming over that hill that's driving down the middle of the road, you don't want to get hit. And I have come across that on this road many times. Now you got a hill going down because you can't see fully the road ahead of you. You always have to make sure that you're over in your lane, so that if somebody's coming over the top of that hill, that they don't run into you. And I've got another one coming up here. And there won't be too many more like this on this road. But you come down here and you signal. Always get into the habit of signaling, even if there's no one behind you. So Always look, and if you're out in the country, which you are, look each side and see if you see any animals like deer out there, especially on the side of the road, because they'll tend to run out in front of you. I don't know why it is, but they always tend to run the wrong direction in front of you. So anyway, sorry for the blurry picture. Nice sunrise. So anyway, we're going around a corner here. You got to be careful. On this road, there's a lot of 18-wheelers because it's coming from where I work. So you always want to look as far around the corner as you can. Like stick your head out and look around as far as you can see, because the car may not be pointed in the right direction for the curve that you're going into. So kind of always look as far around the curve as you can. And there's a little horse right there that you missed. But as I am coming into work, I'm going to start. The speed limit on this street is 35 miles per hour or 40, but I don't like to go that fast because the road conditions, they're all tore up, and I don't want to mess my car up too much. And so we're coming to the end of this drive, and my next one will be this evening when I go home from work. And so I hope that you have seen something in here, and as long as we make more of these videos, you will become a little bit more aware of the things. See those cows right there? Sometimes those cows have been out in the road, and you have to watch out, because if you hit a cow doing like 40 miles an hour, you can forget about your car. It's going to be toast. Always wear your seatbelt. See, I got a truck coming up in front of me. I got to watch what he's doing, and he's turning right there in front of me, and stuff like that. And so I'm coming into the deal. I'm turning into my parking area, and this is where I work. Of course, you know that. And I'm pulling into my spot. I'm going to put the thing in park. My seatbelt is off, and turning off the car. So I hope that this has been educational, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I pray that you're safe always, and that everything is perfect. I'll see you later. Until the next time we drive, have a wonderful day. Bye.